Today, episode 4 of the Amazing Digital Circus released. Like always, I'll give a brief synopsis of what happens in the episode and then move on to discuss my thoughts after. So the episode starts off centered around Gangle with her receiving a new mask from Zubul. Right after, Kane announces the adventure, which was going to be another scary, gruesome one, but after taking a look through the suggestions box, they do a day in the life working at a fast food restaurant, most likely put in there by Gangle, who is set as the shift manager. The day goes about as well as you'd expect, with various NPCs from past adventures showing up, some genuinely scary analog horror-esque moments, and some great jokes. By the end of the episode, it feels like the cast didn't really make much progress in terms of their happiness, until Zubul comforts Gangle and brings her back to the group to showcase her artwork. So with the synopsis covered, let's get into my thoughts. Right off the bat, I think this was the best episode yet and my personal favourite. It has a really great blend of strong writing, funny jokes, and actual spooky scenes. It builds upon all the various scenes we've had in the first 3 episodes. The first thing is the actual set piece. A day working in a restaurant was a wonderful idea. There's this sort of relatability to it. Although not every viewer has worked at a fast food restaurant, we've all seen people act like the characters do, like the crazy shift manager or the lazy employee staring at the clock all day. Moving on, I think the episode expanded upon the characters' roles a lot, most notably Zubul and Gangle. Episode 3 was technically Gangle's episode, but I think here we got way more development and her personality really shone through. The friendship between Gangle and Zubul was really great, especially the resolution at the end. On that same note, I think Gangle was particularly interesting. In past episodes, she kind of took a backseat and was mainly sad all the time. However, here she finally took center stage and it was pretty terrifying. I especially liked the scene where Gangle's vision started to go blurry and it felt like she was going to abstract until Pomni appeared and showed her some kindness. Personally, I think this kind gesture helped to save Gangle and remind her that not everything is bad in this world. Linked in with what I said earlier, I just think this episode was overall really relatable. Everyone can relate to having to put on a metaphorical mask and carry on like everything is fine when it isn't. This is one of the reasons I really love the Digital Circus. It's wacky fun, but it also has these emotional moments that stay with you after you watch it and get you thinking more about the world and characters. Jax, like always, was just a blast to watch. His attitude was pretty par for the course, but I liked the scene where he stopped by Pomni to briefly see how she was doing. It again feeds into the theory a lot of people have that he's not all bad and is just a troubled character. However, he puts on a mean guy facade to try and keep himself sane. Ragatha as well was quite similar. She wasn't her true self after being affected by the sauce, and we got to see more of her actual opinions. It confirms a fan theory I talked about before where Ragatha puts on a cheery persona a bit like Jax. Gangle especially made note of this, saying that it's hard to tell if Ragatha is actually a friend or is just faking things because of how often she wears her facade. The overall pacing and writing of the episode was fantastic. In particular, I liked the way it was separated into breakfast, lunch and dinner. It helped tie the plot points together and there was no pacing issues as a result. The episode flew by, but this was a good thing. It wasn't like episode 2 where things slowed down a lot, which was great to see. Linked in with what I said a bit earlier, I think this episode continued the theme of having some genuine horror moments. I think it could be labelled as analog horror, but it legitimately made me feel a bit uneasy. Like the scene where Gangle turns around to reveal her terrifying mask, or when Jax was in the back area watching the employee video. I think anyone who enjoys those sort of analog horror genres online or creepypastas would really enjoy these themes, and I'm glad they're continuing to do them. It sets the series apart from other indie shows a lot. I won't dwell on this too much since it's a review, and I'll touch on all of these things in future shorts, but the episode introduced a lot of lore as well. Like Gangle previously being a shift manager, some of the issues she battles with, and the stuff with Ragatha as well. The lore and world building is one of my favourite things about the series, so I'm happy it's still quite strong in every episode release. So with all the things I liked covered, is there anything to criticise? Well, personally, not really. There are a couple points you could make though. The first thing is that this episode had a different feel to the others. It had this unsettling atmosphere and the setting was quite mundane. Personally, I absolutely adored this choice, but I think if fans were preferring some more low-stakes, wacky comedy, I think an episode like this wouldn't score very highly in their eyes. I've also seen some people say that the episode ended a bit abruptly, especially after that build-up towards the end. I can see why they think this. It was a bit of a jump to go from Gangle falling in front of a vehicle to back in the office, but I think that was deliberate to shock the viewer. So overall, what do I think? Well, like I said at the start, I love this episode and think it's my favourite so far. It is the perfect blend of everything I like about the show and I can't wait for episode 5. I'm interested to hear what you, the viewers, think. Did you like the episode? Did it go how you expected it to? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching.